So he's really one of the most important artists of the 20th century, in my opinion. Mestre Didi spiritual form was created for El Museu del Barrio. It's the result of 3 years of research and production. And it's very important the way this exhibition interprets and reflects El Museu's mission, because at the core of El Museu's mission is an understanding of the contribution of the African populations in the Americas to culture and to the art making of this major region. This exhibition celebrates the work of the Afro-Brazilian sculptor, spiritual leader, and cultural advocate, Mestre Didi, and it's his first monographic exhibition outside of Brazil in 25 years. Between the 1960s and 2010s, Mestre Didi created an expansive and original body of work that gained wide recognition during his lifetime, but which, in several instances, remained limited by the art world's racial and cultural biases. Aiming to reposition his legacy globally, Mestre Didi's spiritual form builds on El Museu del Barrio's long-standing commitment to diasporic perspectives and histories. It thus prioritizes connections between Didi's work and the iconography, materials, and ritual practices of West African spirituality. At the same time, the exhibition presents Didi as a key progenitor of Brazilian modernism, whose processes of remixing and innovation challenge Eurocentric genealogies of abstraction. Mestre Didi was born Deuscoredes Maximiliano dos Santos in Salvador, Bahia, a port city with strong trading connections to West Africa. He grew up deeply embedded in Candomblé, a dynamic religion established by Afro-descendants in Brazil. From adolescence, Didi learned to make the handheld objects that invoke the deities known as orixás. After producing these ritual objects for decades, in the early 1960s he began to reconceive them as artworks and to exhibit them in galleries and museums. One of the really important concepts of this exhibition is in the dialogues that exist between Didi's and his peers. So we're bringing in a lot of artists from that same period, or artists who started to work in the 1960s. So, for instance, there's an important wooden mask by Aguinaldo dos Santos from 1960. That's right before Didi started to work or exhibit as a sculptor in 1964, and that creates a dialogue also with Rubem Valentim. All three artists work in Salvador in the late 50s, early 60s, and looking at different possibilities for an African Brazilian modernism, for an African Brazilian visual language. So Didi comes from Candomblé into the art world, and in a way Rubem Valentim comes from the art world with his work into Candomblé. So there's a lot of associations, how abstraction, constructivist tendencies really created a context for these artists to forge new languages in the artistic landscape of the 20th century. I think it's really important that visitors spend time with the work, right? To look carefully at the work, because there's a lot of beauty in the work, right? There's a lot of, the making of the work is extremely elaborate, and each sculpture was chosen for a specific reason. So I think what I hope for the visitors to experience, it's really like a major dive in this artistic language of this artist, and how he really created work that didn't exist before him and keeps influencing new artists today.